Today we're having a look at quadratic equations. To solve quadratic equations, it's probably best to sort of write them in a particular form, which is ax squared plus bx plus c form. So if we write them like this, then we can factorize them, and then we can solve them by using that null factor theorem, which you should know because it's one bracket equals 0 and then the other bracket equals 0. So let's do this one here. Example 1, solve x squared plus 11x plus 24. So again, I'm going to put my brackets straight away with an x here and an x in there. And I'm going to say that takes care of the x squared. 24 is 12 times 2. That's fine, but there's no way that that's going to be 11. So, alright, let me think of another one. 3 8s are 24, and if I add the 8 and the 3 together, I get 11. So one of them is going to be plus 8, and the other one will be plus 3, and I'll put this equal to 0. Now, remember what the null factor theorem says, that the first bracket equals 0, and if you solve this one, you get x equals negative 3. And, of course, you have to do the other one. We'll put the or in between, so we get x plus 8 equals 0, and if you solve this one you get x equals negative 8, and don't forget to put the or in between that one as well. Example 2, solving 2x squared plus 5x minus 12. Again, I'm going to try and do it straight away by splitting this and being able to quickly work it out. Okay, this time I'm going to split the 12, so 4 and 3 gives me a good one. 4 by 2 will give me 8, and if I take away the 3, that will give me this plus 5. So the 4 will go here, so that will give me positive 8x, and take away the 3, minus 3x will give me the plus 5x, and of course, negative 3 times the 4 gives me the negative 12. So therefore, 2x minus 3 equals 0. So 2x will equal positive 3, because bringing that across will make it positive 3. And then dividing by the 2, I get x equals 3 on 2. I'll put my therefore signs here. And I've got to do the same with the other bracket, or x plus 4 equals 0. That makes it x equal to negative 4. So it is pretty quickly if you can work it out using these two brackets like this instead of doing the cross multiply method, but it's up to you. Example here 3 says the perimeter of a rectangle is 16 centimeters and its area is 15 centimeters squared. Calculate the length and width of the rectangle. So let's talk about the perimeter. The perimeter, if I've got a rectangle here, bad drawing, so I apologize for that. Let's call it x, or width, and length, because we're using length and width here. Okay, we should say let L equal length of the rectangle and W equal width of rectangle. And that's what we want to find. So when we find L and W, we've got our length and width. So to work out the perimeter, I'll write it over here. The perimeter, I'm not going to put an equal sign, I'm going to put 2 dots, because the perimeter for this rectangle is 2L plus 2W, and I know what that equals already. They tell me it equals 16 centimeters. The other thing that they give us is that the area is 15 centimeters squared, and I know that for the area of a rectangle, I get the length, cross that one off, the length, and the width. I multiply them together, and that gives me 15. So really here I have two equations, and I can solve them whichever way I want. I will rearrange this equation and have it written as L equals 15 divided by W. It's up to you if you put L or W, it doesn't matter which one we find first. So this is my equation number 1, and this one is my equation number 2. And what I'm going to do is substitute one equation into the other. So I'm going to substitute equation number 2, because that's already written as L, into equation number 1. So I get 2, 15 over W, plus my 2W equals to 16. So that means I've got 30 over W plus 2W equals 16. Now remember, this is over 1. So really, to work this one out, I'm going to have to multiply this one. I'll get a different color. I'll get it red. I'll have to multiply this one by W and this one by W to get it to the same denominator, or else that's not going to work. I'm running out of room, so I'm just going to do it. Draw a line down here, and I'll do it over here. So it ends up being 30 plus 2W squared equals 16. And this whole thing is over W now. Not the 16, just this one here. But now I'm going to times by the W, so I get rid of this W in the denominator, and I get 16W here, and rearranging it, I get 2W squared minus 16W plus my 30 equals 0. And now I've got to factorize this. So factorizing it, I'm going to take out 2 as a common factor here, so I'll be left with W squared minus 8W plus 15 equals 0. Keep the 2 there, you can write it as many times as you want. I'm going to try and factorize this into 2 brackets straight away. So split in the W squared is W and W. 15, 5 and 3. If I get both negatives, I get minus 8, and if I times them together, I get the positive 15. So minus 5 and minus 3. And therefore, using the null factor theorem, I get W equals 3 or W equals 5. And I'm going to substitute these into equation number 2 because that gives me my L straight away. So I get L equals 15 divided by 3 is 5, or L equals 15 divided by 5 is 3. So there's my answers. W equals 3, L equals 5, or W equals 5 and L equals 3. That's your 4C, exercise 4C.